Welcome to Vietnam. I'm Dennis, and in this video I'm going to share my thoughts on visiting Vietnam for 3 weeks. What did I love? What did I not love? All of it. I'm going to give you all of my thoughts. Normally, Tim would be sitting right next to me like he was in some of the other videos in Vietnam, but today he's not feeling that well. It's our last day here in Vietnam and he got a fever, so that's such a shame. So he's back in the hotel, sleeping it off and preparing for a long flight back home to the Netherlands. So it's just me today, but you can see him in all of the other videos on the channel that we filmed here in Vietnam. Definitely check out the coffee video and the vegetarian food video that Tim did. It is so good, all of those coffee flavors here. But now I'm already starting about my thoughts, because let's just start about the coffee. Why not? I don't like coffee at all, but I love coffee here because they add a lot of condensed milk to it, and which gives it that really caramelly, sweet flavor, and I love sweet things. So yeah, and I love caramel if you've been following our channel a little bit. So yeah, that's really something. Vietnamese coffee, it is a highlight. It is iconic. People here, they live on coffee, they thrive on coffee. And of course, not all of those condensed milk coffees, but also the regular coffee. The beans here are from a super high quality. That is why you'll not see a Vietnamese person going to a Starbucks or one of those chains. They will get their coffee at their local vendor at their favorite shop, because it is of a super high quality. And yeah, so we've been drinking quite a lot of coffee. They have some really awesome specialty coffees like coconut coffee, egg coffee and whatever, but you'll have to check out that video. But let me just get to the first thing that I noticed here in Vietnam, besides of course the beautiful cities and the culture and everything, but I'll get to that, is the people. The people are so friendly. It really surprised me because I film a lot, I take a lot of pictures, and I always try to get some eye contact before I take a picture of somebody, because I love taking pictures of people, because for me that just gives the heart and soul of the destination. And I always try to make contact if it's okay to take a picture. Everybody here is so friendly, really, honestly. It is not just a few people, it is everybody. People waving, people being friendly, people saying hello, which is just so refreshing. It is so friendly. You get a friendly smile on every corner of the street, at every shop that you go to, on every market that you go to. It is really a friendly country. So that to me just made me feel so welcome here as a foreigner. And that is an amazing feeling to start your trip off, right? Especially in a super big city like Saigon, where I can imagine that people just want to get on with their day. No, they were super friendly. Like we've done a video on Paris, where people are very busy and they don't want to be disturbed by tourists, which I get, because I would be that way maybe, I think, myself as well. But that's just so different from here, where we got so much nice connections with people, little talks or just waving, or kids in the street, kids on the scooter, kids on the motorbikes, because motorbike culture, that's a nice bridge right to the next subject. Motorbikes everywhere here. They live on the motorbikes. There's actually a saying that Vietnamese people are born on motorbikes. And yeah, so the kids are also being transported on the motorbikes to school, from school to home. And every kid, honestly, now let me just not exaggerate, but most kids are waving to you. They are so friendly. So we've been waving to kids, we've been high-fiving kids, yeah. Also when we cycled through some of the villages, all the kids in the street, they were so friendly, they were so happy to see us. And it just, you can't just not be happy when you're here, when you look at the people, look at the kids, look at the people in the streets, in marketplaces. Everybody's friendly. I love that. So the motorbike culture, I get it, because it's cheap, it's easy, and the weather here is perfect, so you'll be able to go on a motorbike most of the days. Here in Hanoi, where it rains a little bit more, you'll see them wearing ponchos. But it is very chaotic for us as a tourist. The beginning, the first few days, we really had to get used to crossing the street, because there's not a lot of crossings where they'll have traffic lights. So yeah, that was quite, it took some getting used to. But if you start noticing the patterns, you'll see that it is not as chaotic as it looks. They really know what they're doing. They really look at each other. They signal each other by honking. So it's not chaotic honking, it's really honking on purpose. And I haven't seen an accident happen. Besides my friend stopping in the street to take a picture and being hit by a motorbike. Don't stop on the street, in the middle of the street, because a motorbike will not be anticipating that. But because they know, they will look at you, they'll see your flow, and they'll let you go, and they'll go around you. And so it's having eye contact and finding your way across the street. You can't walk in one straight line. You have to just take pauses and see what's the next step and when you can go. But it's quite a good system, I have to say. So at the end of our trip, I'm perfectly confident in crossing the street. So the next thing I want to talk about is the cities, because on this trip we had a lot of cities. We had the major cities, and we love exploring cities. So for us, it was really nice, and also to see the difference in cities. And then the biggest difference is between Hanoi and Saigon, because those are the two biggest cities. And also for the Vietnamese people, if you want to go to Saigon, you'll be able to get a nice job there. You'll get a better salary in Saigon, but you'll also have to pay more for rent or buying a house. So Hanoi is a little bit more cheaper city, but job opportunities are more in Saigon. So that's one of the biggest differences, but also Saigon is more modern and Hanoi has a more local feel to it. Saigon has modern shops, also the smaller streets, of course, but it's more like, you can compare it to a really, really modern big city. And Hanoi has a really old and traditional vibe to it, even though it's a modern city as well. But the streets are a little bit more narrow, the shops are more focused on local people, and it just has a really different vibe. But then, the most iconic and the most beautiful city, I think, in Vietnam, Hoi An, I had like a hate-love relationship with it. Because the city is beautiful, the architecture is super beautiful, a lot of yellow houses, French colonialism, no, whatever, you'll get what I mean. You'll get that vibe, and it's the city of lanterns, so you'll see lanterns everywhere, which is stunning, stunning, stunning. But in the afternoon and the evening, it gets super crowded because it's so beautiful. There's also a lot of tourists there. And that it does distract a little bit from the vibe of the city. You have to look past the tourists, and then it's a beautiful city. Come in the morning, it's super quiet, so then you'll really have a chance to just walk around, feel the vibe, enjoy the beauty. In the afternoon, maybe just do an activity, like we did some lantern making there, or we went on a bike tour through the villages, which was stunning. One of my highlights here on the trip. And then in the evening, come back to see the city lit up. But then expect some crowds. If you don't mind crowds, perfect. For me, it took away a little bit of the beauty or the experience, but it was stunning. I just love exploring those cities and just seeing the difference, and seeing also the difference in food, but you'll have to check out the food video of that, of course. But there is so much different food to be had here in Vietnam. We had so many different dishes and different flavors on this trip that you will think like, oh, all the food is the same in Vietnam. Yeah, some of the basics are the same. It's a lot of noodles, it's a lot of spring rolls, it's a lot of noodle soups and all of those things. But there are so many different regional specialties, like the khao lao in Hoi An, which is stunning, or the difference between the pho in Saigon or in Hanoi. They use some different spices, or at least they add more of some of the spices. So there's so much to explore food-wise. And if you're like food lovers just like we are, that it is foodie heaven. Like, honestly. In 3 weeks, we had so many new dishes and so many new flavors that it's hard to pick a favorite. And I'm not gonna pick a favorite because it's just too hard. What I also love learning about through our tour guide and the people that we met is how daily life is affected by religion, which actually it's not that much anymore. Like, religion doesn't play a part in many of their lives. People believe in Buddhism, most of them. There's also Catholic people and Hinduistic people and some other religions here that are meshed together. There's also some Islamic and some Cao Dai, which is the newer religion. But most people here are not religious or not followers, so they don't go to the pagodas or the churches or the temples for religion, but more for worshipping. And they worship their ancestors. And that is so, to me, was such an eye-opener because I never knew that. You'll see in every shop, every house, they have little shrines here, and those are for their ancestors. So they go back a few generations, mostly four, because in some of the wars, a lot of the records were destroyed, so they can't go back as far as they would like to. But on the day that one of their ancestors died, they'll remember them, they'll commemorate them, they'll celebrate them. So they worship their ancestors, which to me is such a respectful way of looking back at your family's history. And I just love that whole idea of remembering or of talking and celebrating their lives. And that is why they still go to pagodas, to temples, and they light incense, and they have their little shrines in their houses and stuff. To me, that was I loved hearing about it. I just love that. That's because you'll see that as a tourist, it looks like religion's still super huge here, but then it's a different form of religion. It's like, so it's some people, of course, they still practice, but yeah, like our guide told us, they celebrate their ancestors, and that is, it's a different way. It's worshipping, and it's not the same as like a religion that you have to pray every day, or those things, or go to church every day. So I loved hearing about that. And what I also loved learning is that people bury their family members on their property, so in their rice fields. You'll see a lot of those graves in the rice fields because they also believe that it's a lucky charm if you have your family members on your own ground. Of course, here in the big city, that's not possible, but when you live in the countryside, like a lot of people do, then they will bury their family members on their own property and in the rice fields because it's lucky and it will help you with your new crop. So that's what I thought was also very interesting about the whole family worshipping thing. Something that I also noticed is the difference between cats and dogs in Europe versus Vietnam. In Europe, or at least in the Netherlands, for me, a dog is really like a family member in your house, and it's, you cuddle a lot with your dog, and a cat is more on its own. It goes outside, it plays around. Of course, people have their cats in their houses as well, but you know what I mean. And here in Vietnam, it's the other way around. You'll see a lot of dogs walking in the streets freely without a leash. And of course, they belong to a family or to a shop owner or whatever, but they are in the streets just having a lot of fun and just on their own. So also not as cuddly as a dog, as at least our dog at home. And the cats, you don't see a lot of cats here, so they are mostly kept inside the house. This is what our tour guide told us. So a cat is held for inside the house as more like a cuddle animal, like the dogs in our case, and dogs are outside, especially in the countryside. You see so many dogs just laying around, walking around, playing around. I thought that was also very funny, and yeah, that it's like a little bit of the opposite of how I see a dog in the Netherlands, but yeah. What I also loved seeing here, I mean, we've been to other Asian countries and we've seen food markets before, those fresh markets. But here in this country, it really, to me at least, it opened my eyes a bit more than in previous trips. And here, the markets, they are daily markets because there's not a lot of supermarkets, especially not in the bigger towns, but also not in the villages. People really go to the market every day, where we go to the supermarket once a week or twice a week. Here they go every day to get their fresh products that they'll use in the evening or for lunch to cook and to eat. And that means that all of the products are super fresh in the morning when you get to the market. But it also means that there's a lot of livestock or fish that are still like half alive or kept alive to sell them the freshest way possible. I know that this is where we come from as well, but because we have these supermarkets, you don't see that as much. So for me, it was quite a culture shock, especially to see those animals like frogs being bundled up, together, fish just gasping for air, chicken or geese being slaughtered in the back, fresh meat laying there in the warm weather. It was really, really interesting, but also quite shocking. I can't, it's weird because I can't say I loved it, but I also was attracted to it because it is so logical. It feels so logical for here, but it just doesn't feel logical for where we come from. It was like, for me, like stepping back in time in a way, to see like this is where we came from, and this is how it's very logical to just buy your produce on the market, and for a farmer or for a person to sell their stock or to sell their product. So saying the word stepping back in time feels like I'm being dismissive or something, which I'm not, but it just, for me, it feels a little bit that way because I'm not used to it. It's not in my frame of reference. But it was very interesting to see also the people working so hard. And it just, yeah, I really, really respect it, but I also had a difficult time with it. So it's a bit conflicting. Maybe I need to ponder on it a little bit more to get to really know what I want to say about it. But for now, this is my first initial thoughts. What I also want to say is that I think this country has, at least for me, it had a bit better of a work-life balance than some other countries that I've been to. Because at 5 o'clock, you'll see a lot of people going home. So, of course, the shops are open and the restaurants are open late, but they also have their siesta moments. And the bars close at 10:30. So, in a way, I feel like people are being careful of their work-life balance. Even though you can't compare it to where I'm from in the Netherlands, because we are so privileged that we can work for 8 hours a day and go home. But I do feel like people are paying attention to that. Like 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock. Bam, go home. Close your shop, not that late, or have a siesta, but yeah, a lot of people working very hard for very little pay, especially compared to where I'm from. So in that way, it's hard work for not a lot of money. But I do feel like they have a sense of we need to also take care of our work-life balance in a way. It doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm babbling and I'm not making sense, but that's what I felt at least. And yeah. What is also interesting is if you go into a shop, and we love going into shops here, supermarkets, to see the products here, is that you see a lot of those whitening facial products that you see in other Asian countries as well, like Korea, Japan, but here as well. And I never really knew what that was about until I asked the guide, our tour guide, and she explained it. If you have a whiter skin, you'll seem more rich, because richer families have bigger houses, they have better sun protection. And if you have a darker skin, it will seem as if you're from a poorer family. So people want their skin to be lighter, so they look more prosperous, more rich, more, yeah, it's like a beauty standard thing here. Which is also so completely different, the opposite from where we're from, because people are laying in the sun to just get a tan, or they have their spray tans on or whatever. So it is so interesting. And yeah, I'm always a little bit confused by those things, but that's the interesting thing of seeing new cultures and learning about these things. It just opens your mind to like so many different possibilities that you've never thought about. That is for me the treasure of traveling. So yeah, if I have any other thoughts that I want to share with you, I'll make a new video or I'll insert some voiceovers in this video. But for me, visiting Vietnam for 3 weeks, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I've had so many amazing experiences. Well, you have to just check out all of our adventures, and Tim will be in those as well, because I do miss my Tim next to me here. It gave me a chance to just go and babble full on to you, but I also love his point of views and his thoughts. So if we have a chance, we'll do a video of Tim's thoughts on Vietnam, but you can also check out our website, www.stuffer.nl, which has Tim's travel journal, because he always journals. So they have the full journal on there as well for you to read. That might be interesting, and it will have some other tips on visiting Vietnam. For now, like this video. Thanks for watching it all the way till the end. I hope you liked hearing my thoughts, and this is just my initial thoughts that I didn't come prepared. I just sat down here in the street and I just started talking, because that, at least to me, gives you an honest and real thought and real reflection on this trip. For now, I'm gonna pack up my camera, put it in my suitcase, prepare for an 18-hour journey back home. But it will also be worth it, because Nala, our dog, will be waiting, and I have missed her terribly. It is really hard to be away from her so long, because she's so amazing. So I'm super happy to be able to cuddle with her. I'll not let go of her for at least an hour. Yeah, thanks for watching this video, and thanks for watching all of our other content about Vietnam. See you soon. Bye.